Hi, welcome to the Equity Guru CEO interview series. My name is Chris Parry, founder and publisher of Equity Guru. I am talking to, well, I'll let you introduce yourself, my good sir.
To me? Okay. So my name is Andre Larente. I'm the CEO of DIAGNOS. DIAGNOS is an AI company specialized in the medical field. So we have a AI medical test, very low cost, for people that are diabetic or suffering from cardiovascular issues.
Which is issues pretty close to my heart, no pun intended. Being a diabetic myself, I'm kind of hoping you guys can make a real show of this.
Yes, I remember.
If you could explain to someone who's never heard of DIAGNOS before in like 25 words or less, how would you describe it?
Sure. So our software, we're a software company. So the AI piece is really a software that can analyze the back of your eye. So if you wear glasses, for example, your optometrist probably did this, took a picture, it's a flash that goes into your eye and goes and hits the back of the eye called the retina. And then we analyze the retina images automatically with the AI engine. That's what we do.
So this allows, I'm guessing, sort of remote medicine in ways that generally hasn't been permitted before.
Right. So we are really in the screening side. So we're looking at patients that are not at the hospital, but are outside of the hospital setting, or even inside the hospitals when you think of it. But we do the screening of patients that are diabetic. And for example, in a hospital setting, there will be a diabetes clinic, or an endocrinologist will follow you through your years of diabetes. So at that place, we can install a camera to take a picture of the back of the eye. So this makes the system a lot more efficient at the hospital level, because now the endocrinologist can actually send you to the ophthalmologist if you need to go there. Normally what they've done in the past is said, okay, Chris, you're 50 years old, you wear glasses, you've been diabetic for 20 years. I think you should go see the ophthalmologist. So that's the wrong thing to do. So with this technology now, we can actually help the endocrinologist make a better call with you, and also reduce the lineup at the ophthalmology department. Because right now, if they send anybody up there, for example, in Montreal at the CHUM, so the CHUM is a brand new hospital, very high tech. It can take you up to 3 years to go see the ophthalmologist if you're a diabetic. So between you and me, you have a time to go blind before you get there. But a lot of people get in line that should not be there because they have nothing. But they don't know until they go and see the ophthalmologist. So we're there to manage the care, reduce the cost for governments, and actually do a much better job in monitoring you as a patient and making sure you don't go blind.
Now, I notice on your website the words, "This is not just a concept," is front and foremost. Do you think that there's still a lot of people who feel like this is such sort of future tech that it couldn't possibly be ready to go?
Right. So we've been working on this for the last 7 years, and we've been in the field for the last 4 years. And we actually have 400,000 patients data in our database at DIAGNOS. And these 400,000 patients have been done in 16 countries. So our technology works everywhere in the world. So we've done, Latin America, Canada, US, Turkey, Saudi Arabia. We've been around the world to make sure that the technology was applicable to everybody. And there was no discrepancy between, being white, black, or Chinese, doesn't matter. It works the same with everybody.
Now, one thing that's really important about the diagnosis of diabetes is usually it comes after an emergency episode, or, when someone is already so far down the rabbit hole that it's a hard climb back out. I'm really guessing with your tech that anybody who happens to be rolling past the hospital could just sort of take a quick peek and see exactly where they're at without having to be diagnosed first.
Oh, yes. The test takes less than 2 minutes. We don't dilate your eyes, so you don't have to have somebody to accompany you back home. Such in Canada and US, if you get dilated, you have to have somebody to bring you home. The test is very quick. It's non-invasive. The results are back in less than 30 seconds. It takes about 2 seconds to analyze one eye, so both 4 seconds. It's fast, non-invasive, and we are actually aiming at having a cost around $5 Canadian to do this test. So it's less expensive than a Starbucks coffee
Hmm. No, this is a software platform that you're using, but as much as diabetes is an easy first target for it, are there other issues that you can use the same technology to deduce?
Yes. So from the back of the eye, from the retina, we see all kinds of different pathologies that we can apply this knowledge to. So the second one is really monitoring patients that have cardiovascular issues. Example, hypertension. If you're suffering from hypertension and you're taking medication, we can actually see if there's damage being done to your retina. A hypertensive patient develops what's called hypertensive retinopathy. A diabetic retinopathy. It's very, very similar and very dangerous to lose your sight. We're also going into a clinical trial in the next 2 weeks in the US to actually see if we can predict a stroke environment. So stroke management is very big, is very costly, very hard on your health too, because if you have a stroke, you might be paralyzed for the rest of your life. So we're going into a clinical trial in a group called Common Spirits in the US. It is the second largest hospital group in the US, 140 hospitals, over 1,000 clinics in 22 states. So we're doing this in collaboration with them. And so they're looking at our platform as being an extremely important tool to reduce their costs long-term and also to save lives. On the cardiovascular side, if you are hypertensive and you're taking medication and it's not working, we'll see the results right away on the retina. So that means that you can go back to your doctor and tell him or a specialist to change the medication because it's just going to damage your retina more than help you.
So, in diabetes, hypertension, and stroke, man, you've got everything but cancer, really, of the big issues that will plague pretty much every person on the planet if they live long enough. It strikes me that there is, once you're through all those tests, once everyone understands what you can do here, this is a massive potential industry. Do you have a moat around this technology? Is it patented? Is it yours? Can anyone else come in?
That's a good question. So you cannot patent software because it's if you patent software, you have to tell everybody what you're doing. It's very easy to change code to do the exact same thing. So we have a SaaS model. So we don't sell the software. It resides in our servers. So everywhere that we install our solution, we don't install a software. We just install a service. So all the transactions, all the pictures are coming from worldwide into our servers in Montreal. We have a second site also in Saudi Arabia. So nobody can have access to this code. The only people who saw the code is really the FDA people because we have regulatory approvals in many countries, Health Canada. We are an ISO certified company, so from a quality management, FDA in the US. So the guys at FDA saw our algorithms. And so, but besides that, Saudi FDA, in Latin America, they didn't really go into the code. They just wanted to make sure that the US FDA in Health Canada did it. And so we're very secure from that perspective.
Got it. So if anyone did decide they wanted to replicate what you've got a massive, many years long head start. And I guess the in the field data as well that one wouldn't have.
Yeah, and you see with the hospitals, because of COVID, we've had a large setback because people that are diabetic or suffering from cardiovascular were not allowed to go into the hospitals to get their annual meetings with their doctors and so forth. So the last year and a half, we actually came up with a different way to go and offer our services, and will be through optometrists. So we just signed a group in Canada that has 407 locations. And so in the next 10, 12 months, we'll be installing those 407 locations across Canada. This will give them a better accessibility of our tests to all these diabetics and people that suffer from cardiovascular issues. And so when the hospitals reopen, and they should be reopening fairly soon after this fourth wave is going to die anyway. So we're going to see our patients coming back in the hospital settings that we have established in the past.
That's a really smart way of doing things. As a diabetic, I recently had to go and see an ophthalmologist, and I was shocked by the massive amount of people waiting in line to do just a simple 5-minute scan. And I just wanted to get out of there. I was in a COVID situation. The last thing I want to be is in a crowded waiting room at a hospital. I guess, if you can get yourself out there to optometrists as a station to go and see, hey, how's your diabetes going? Hey, how's your hypertension going? Like, that increases the commercial viability of the optometrists in the same way that it increases you. It gives them an added revenue source.
Oh, no, absolutely. The optometrists will see an increase in revenue. A few weeks ago, last week, we announced a memorandum of understanding with the largest optical group in the world, so EssilorLuxottica. So they own about 15,000 stores worldwide, and we were picked as the technology. So we signed the MOU, and we're working on the final contract. But with all of this activity, I think the risk of DIAGNOS is very low now. We have money in the bank. Revenues have restarted in July. Our new strategy with the optometrists and keeping the governments in line for the future is going to make us cash flow positive this year. We hope to announce some more deals also in other countries, but we're on our way to success. And right now, we just need to get our name out there and tell you that DIAGNOS is a good buy. There's no risk, and we're going to grow.
So the share price chart for ADK, has been pretty static over the course of most of this year. It's not jumping, it's not dropping, it's just bundling along. What do you think people are waiting for before they really get stuck in on this thing?
Yeah, I think the COVID really did this effect on us because we are a medical provider at the end of the day, and all these sites were closing down because of COVID. But I think you're going to see a big change in the next few months. Revenues are going to start back again. People are going to start going back to their appointments again with their endocrinologists, their doctors, their GPs. And I think we're going to see a movement. It's going to be slow, but it's going to be sustainable for the next 20 years. And if our clinical trial is successful in the US on the stroke side, well, stroke management in the US is a $36 billion market. Sure. Just in the US. So we're going to have a place with the same technology, same picture, same camera, same eyes as a patient. And we can now monitor you year over year over year. So now we can see the difference between year 1, year 2, year 3. Is the disease progressing or regressing? You as a patient, you need to know that, because if you leave your health to a doctor, well, you might die before a doctor will tell you what you need to know or need to learn about the disease that you have. So I think we're going to be in the right place at the right time.
Any plans beyond stroke recognition to use the same platform?
Well, you're going to see a press release there in the next few days. We've been working with a group in Montreal. We were helping them to accelerate their technology. So it's a new camera. So it's a new camera based on ultrasound, where you can actually see, or at least you can screen for a disease that's very complicated called Alzheimer. So we're going to get involved in the Alzheimer arena. We also have been approached by our local hospitals to look at pneumonia, for example, such that, those natures. Those types of pathology, it's all related to medical imaging. So it's very easy for us to do it when we have the data. So if we have data, then we can do it. We're also participating in a worldwide contest right now to identify glaucoma for patients. So the results are going to be out on the 17th of September, and I think we'll be in the forefront. That's for sure.
So basically, you're getting to a place where instead of going to the doctor or the hospital, I can go to an optometrist and potentially in several years' time recognize an entire cavalcade of potential afflictions.
Absolutely.
Without even having an indicator that I need to go to the doctor.
Right. These are, these chronic diseases are very dangerous. And a lot of time it doesn't hurt, So you might be diabetic for the last 10 years, Chris, but you don't know if anything is happening in your eyes. And as a diabetic, you must know. Mm-hmm. And the reason why you must know is if you're just starting retinopathy, for example, then there's very low cost medication for that, and you don't have to suffer and go blind. or worse, be injected, syringes in your eye to try to keep your eye, in a not a perfect vision, but in a vision where you can at least see something. So it is very important for a diabetic to do that. And your doctors are not trained to do this. Your optometrists are. I mean, they're specialists of the eye. And then we have the hospitals with, the endocrinologist and the ophthalmologist. So we believe we're at the right place at the right time right now. And we started our revenues last month, and the revenues are going to start growing and growing every month. And this is sustainable for the next 20 years.
What I like about where your company is at right now is when I look down your news releases, I see DIAGNOS signs for pilot program, DIAGNOS opens clinics, DIAGNOS begins study for stroke, signs 2-month pilot with hospital, partners with Iris. Like, it is, your news flow isn't, a company will be at this investor conference on this day.
No, we don't do
deals,
that.
Deals.
And there's a lot more to come. So.
And what it tells me is the size of these companies that you're doing deals with are obviously able to do much larger due diligence than I am or the usual investors. So it says a lot about what your company is doing and where it is that companies of those size are willing to sign deals.
Well, look, if you look at the last one we did with Essilor. So Essilor is the largest optical company in the world. They have revenues of 16 billion euros annual, okay? And to sign an MOU with a little company like ours means a lot in terms of what we've done, how we work, the flexibility we have, and also the market size we can address. Mm-hmm. I'll give you an example. Everybody's asking me for an example on revenue. Well, New Look has 407 stores. We're going to do 10 patients a day minimum. So put 10 patients at $5, okay, per store. So now you have $50 per store times 407 store, and then multiply that by 320. You're now looking at millions and millions of dollars coming in at these little transactions. And our cost to analyze a patient is less than 4 pennies.
Wow.
So the margins are there.
That's some margin.
The margins are there, and everything is what I say. We're all heading in the right direction, and our revenues, we started in July, and it's going to continue. And the big numbers are going to be for next year. Next year, we're looking anywhere between $10 and $20 million in revenue. So we're going to be making a lot of money and making a lot of people wealthier.
And doing a lot of good in the world, which, when you can make money out of doing good, that's a good thing.
Absolutely.
Is there anyone out there who you consider a competitor?
We follow about 5 competitors worldwide, 2 in the US and some in Europe. But the guys in the US are charging $25 to $50 per transaction. And I don't think they're going to go very far because of that. We believe that the margins we're making are really big, and we just want to make sure that we go to as many patients as possible and make this accessible to everybody.
If you could wave a magic wand and have people see your company as a technology company or a health company, where would you be pointing them?
Yeah, we're a med tech company, so we're using technology for the use in medical in the medical field. So it's called med tech, and med tech is really a mix between in our case, applying these algorithms or artificial intelligence to medical imaging. So there's a very special techniques to follow, and we've been doing this for years now. So we know what we're doing, and it's proven. 400,000 patients done. To get our data set to actually go in production. And we are now in production. So it's not a question we're in development. We're in production with our first large application for diabetic. We'll have a second and third application very soon. So additionally, we'll be able to increase the revenues with the other applications we're going to be introducing to the market.
Are there any acquisition opportunities that would help you out there, or is this really sort of a new space?
No, there's opportunities. I think what we want to do is get the revenues up and become cash flow positive this year, and then target the proper organization. Definitely the US, we'll have to do an acquisition there to enable us to go faster. Okay. And also in Europe. So you need to have foot on the ground in certain areas, right? So Europe, US, Canada, Latin America, we need to have footprint there. And then Essilor will be our distributor for Asia Pacific and so forth. So they're going to be helping us, to their locations. When you think 15,000 locations, they're not in Canada. That's the good news.
Yeah,
but they're everywhere else.
Yeah, well, I imagine that if they see, as I expect, a very quick revenue bump from what you're doing, they might come and knock and looking for more than just partnerships.
Oh yes, we're going to start deploying New Look the first week of September. So we have 407 sites to do. We're starting with 15, and it's going to go on, and then we're going to start seeing good revenue and good profitability by the end of the year.
Well, it seems like it's with COVID having put a dent in your revenues, or at least pausing a few trials, it seems like the market is in wait and see. But it's a great time for people to be jumping in if they think that this is a long-term winner. And I got to be honest with you, man. Like, everything you're saying is music to my ears, both on a personal level, enabling me to look after myself better. But from a profitability point of view, like, those margins are filthy.
Oh yes, they're good enough.
Good enough. All right, man. Well, I guess we'll leave it at that. ADK is the ticker symbol. DIAGNOS is the company. Look, we're proud to have been working with you for a long time now, and honestly, I think as much as the share price has been static, at a $32 million market cap, that seems really small for what you guys are doing and the likely revenues ahead. So I would imagine that anyone who's listening to this interview should at least be putting you on their watch list.
Yes. And don't forget, we have very little shares outstanding, number one. Number two, we have no debt. Number three, we have money in the bank. And then number four, we started revenuing. So those are the key words, I think, for investors.
What is the thing that keeps you up at night? Because there's always something when you're a CEO of that company.
For me, I get up in the middle of the night because I see the growth coming, and I got to prepare for it. And we got to do this in the US and Europe. And we have partnerships like Essilor that are so big. And so the growth is keeping me up in the night. Just it.
That's a great problem to have.
I'd rather sleep. I'd rather sleep a little bit.
You'll sleep when you're making those revenues, I'll tell you.
Yes.
Thanks, Alain. It's been a pleasure as always, and we'll check in with you in a few months.
Thank you, Chris. Bye-bye.